Hi Crafty friends, this is Jen from Katahdin Crafts and welcome to the Lawn Fawn fans Fall Hop. We are a group of crafty friends from around the globe that all have a major love for lawn fawn. So for this hop, if you hop along and comment on all of our videos, you have the opportunity to be entered into a drawing for a $25 gift certificate to our sponsor, which is Lawn Fawn. How exciting is that? So it is a win-win situation. You get all sorts of Lawn Fawn inspiration and a chance to get that gift certificate. And now I do have a bit of a disclaimer. I have a lot of information that I'm going to be throwing at you fast and furious in this video. I did not want my video time to be too long because this is a hop and you have several amazing videos to watch. So basically I'm giving you an overview of how I made this card, and I'm leaving in the details that I believe are the most important that you can replicate it if you would like, or at least find inspiration and come up with your own card idea and add some of those techniques in. As you can see, I die cut and stamped out tons of images, and this is Merry Mice, which I am featuring in today's project. And then the pumpkin house, I absolutely love these dies. I love all their little building dies. They're so cute. The acorn, the mushroom, the pumpkin. And then this is Joy to All, and I use some elements and images out of there. And then those cute little trees from Winter Skies that match the Merry Mice tree perfectly. I'm going to use those in my background. And then this is the new Christmas garland with the new fall release. And then Build a House Christmas add-on. Again, I love all those little Build a House dies. And then finally, I used a few images, the mushrooms actually, from the forest backdrops. I did cut the trees, but I decided that I wanted to use the winter sky trees. And then I also used a few of the mice from the You Autumn Know, which is also from the new autumn release. So this is definitely my favorite thing to do, is mix and match dies and stamps from all different sets, which allows me to create a very detailed card. Okay, for this card, the first coloring I did were these cute little Christmas bulbs, and I'm just using some bright and bold colors and my Nuvo glitter marker pen for the little tops, a little silver on the tops of the bulbs, and I'm just coloring a bunch of these. And then as you can see, I'm going to put some liquid glass on top of them. And this is going to give it that nice shiny dimensional feel, which I absolutely am loving right now for my Christmas ornaments. As you can see, I did all the bulbs and the candy canes the same, and I could put them on a little index card so I could move them and they could be portable, which makes that easier to set them aside and let them dry. And I did let those dry overnight. And now I'm working on this little cobblestone walkway. I am just making some squiggly lines to make it look like stones. And then I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to let that dry before I add a little Copic markers to it. And I'm going to work on my backlights for these cute little windows. I'm using some scrap cardstock and I just used my Y18 Copic marker and scribbled on that. And then I just traced out those windows and cut them out, and that will fit perfectly behind and it makes it look like it's illuminating light. And I did that also on the door and that really pretty ornate light that I dangle from the side of the pumpkin. And now I'm just making a little bit of dimension on this little cobblestone with my cool grays. So I use C2 to map it, and then I'm putting C4 and C6 just to give it that little bit of shadow and highlights. And I'm going to go back over it with my C2 and smooth it all out. And that just gives it that little bit of dimensional look. Most of the coloring that I did do with this card was very simplistic. When you look at the final photos, you can see that. And if you have any questions at all about the colors that I used, go ahead and ask me in the comments or send me a message. And here I am using some Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink to ink the edges of this cute pumpkin. White pumpkins are my very favorite thing in the fall. So I wanted to do a white pumpkin with just a little bit of green and with forest moss in that stem. I added lots of snow to all of my images, and how I did that was my Versamark pen. I just hit the top of it where I thought the snow would fall and stay and give it that little shiny, shimmery look. And I'm using Lawn Fawn's Textured White embossing powder, just sprinkling that on, giving it a nice little tap. If there was a spot that I had wanted a little bit more snow, I just added a little bit more, hit that with my heat gun. And then my next thing after I do these little trees to show you how I did all the little images, and I'm just going to dunk that right into the embossing powder, as you can see, and then I'm going to heat all that. And then I'm going to use some liquid glue and a paintbrush, and I'm going to gently go over all of that embossing powder because I want to give it that really sparkly snow look. Have you ever seen the way when the sunshine hits the snow, how it sparkles? I absolutely love that because I am a sparkle girl. I love everything that shines and shimmers and glitters. So sparkling snow, as far as snow goes, because snow is kind of icky, especially after a long winter in northern Maine. Now I'm gonna sprinkle my glamour dust, and I've had this in my stash for a very long time. My glamour dust on top of all the spots where I brushed on that liquid glue. If I wanted a little bit more, I added a little bit more glue and added more glitter or glamour dust. And then I was glittered for the rest of the day and perhaps even into next week because there's a lot of glitter, but it's pretty. All right, and now I'm going to be working on my background. My card panel is 8 3/4 by 3 3/4. Then I put that on a card base 9 by 4, and that gives it a nice 1/8 of an inch edge all around it. So I'm using scattered straw, spun sugar, and tumbled glass for my background, and I'm using my favorite things, rolling clouds stencil, because that's what I have. I know that Lawn Fawn has a few of these cloud stencils as well. It's definitely worth having a cloud stencil or two in your Krafty stash to help make these beautiful skies. Now I just take tumbled glass and kind of go over all of those white clouds just so they're not so stark white. And it also gives it that overlaying of colors. You get a little purples, little greens. You can see I already started assembling my little pumpkin house. Again, for time reasons, I can't show all of the assembly, but most of it is pretty self-explanatory if you look at the photo. Did want to show you the parts that I deemed a little trickier, and this is the little sections of the pine bough or the Christmas garland to make a pine bough underneath those little windows. And I'm going to add some bows to those after. And then this was my very favorite part to do. I colored in those little squiggly leaves with green and some Nuvo glitter marker. And then I cut off these bulbs, and I'm going to add them each to those leaves in order to make a little Christmas garland, which, I thought that this was perfect with the little pumpkin. And again, this was my very, very favorite part of the card. I loved when I added these on, how it just brought it all together. And yeah, again, it's all that shiny. I wish that these were actually little light bulbs. Is that strange? Probably. All right, and now I used Lawn Fawn's Slimline stitched hillside borders to create my rolling snowy hills. And what I like to do is cut out all different sizes of these and add my liquid glue to the bottom and build from the front to the back. And this way I am sliding under each layer, and it's okay if I hang over the edge like that because I can trim it off after. And knowing that my pumpkin is going to go on the section that I'm adding right now and hide that seam, so I don't have to worry about that. But all the sections that the seams aren't going to be hidden by an element on top, you just have to make sure that you tuck it well underneath. And again, that's why I just add my glue on the bottom so I can slide things under or over. And now I'm going to snip off those edges, and you are going to notice a major transformation when I flip this around because I've gone ahead and added all of my little elements that I made to the front of the card, glued them on. I'm going to add that extra little mouse here on the side. That's going to cover up another one of those seams. And then I'm going to finish building my card. Again, this was my very favorite section, so I wanted to show this assembly. And I took that leaf, that large leaf from the pumpkin die set, the two actually, the two leaves, and I put a little bit of vintage photo distress oxide ink on top of that, and then I covered it with my gold Nuvo glitter pen. Same with those little curlicues that come off the sides, and then I tuck that underneath the stems and the pumpkin, and I created that cute little garland. And I moved that mushroom I had it originally where I added those little curlicues on the bottom, and I moved that to the top layer. To do the edges of my card base, I used my Y17 Copic marker and my glitter gold pen and went around the edge, and then I adhered my card panel to that. My sentiment is stamped out from Lawn Fawn's Joy to All stamp set, and then I cut that out with a sentiment die. And as you can see, I did pop in some of my extra colored pieces inside for that extra little surprise. And phew, we made it through that very fast and furious card. I hope you did enjoy it today. I know it's a little bit faster paced than I normally do. If you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me. And I love all the details of this card. This is literally one of my favorite cards that I've ever made. I hope you all feel the same. Hop along, see all the inspiration. I am at the bottom of the hop, so if you started with me or if you started in the middle of the hop, make sure you go back up to the beginning. And that is my friend Carrie Rhoades from Carrie Stamps. She is also our Lawn Fawn fan coordinator. She is wonderful, talented, kind, all the above. So make sure you show her some love. Thank you so much for creating and crafting with me today. I really do hope that you enjoyed this card as much as I do. I love pumpkins. I love white pumpkins and sparkles and shine, and it has everything that I love. And a big thank you to Lawn Fawn again for sponsoring this hop. And make sure everybody checks out our social media platforms again on October 23rd to see who wins that wonderful prize of $25 gift certificate to the Lawn Fawn shop. Thank you all. Take care.